And then Clint is going to be our guest. Clint, are you on with us?
I am. What's going on, Trey?
All right, perfect. Okay, so for those that don't know, okay, so here's the thing. When they said that I get to do the call this week, I was like, there is literally one person that everybody needs to hear from because he's the single most consistent person. He's the single most helpful person. He's on live dials every day. He's not hiding anywhere. He has a heck of a life. He has a great lifestyle. He spends a lot of time with his family. He gets to do fun stuff, but he's figured out a way to do Hall of Fame production and recruit and do amazing social media, by the way. Your social media is awesome, Clint. I know if it's
Wait
not
for it.
working yet, it's definitely going to be working. Just keep
It
doing your
will.
social media. It's going good. Um, but somebody who really has it all together, he's super disciplined, he's super helpful. And I feel like if anybody could give us a roadmap from beginning agent to becoming an elite producer. So that's what this call is today. Call is today is the step-by-step guide for becoming an elite producer in Family First Life. And I don't think there's anybody more qualified than Clint. And so, Clint, welcome to our call. Thanks for jumping on.
Thank you, Trey. I appreciate that, man. Appreciate it so much, man. You always push me. Trey's always
Well, I
push me
try
to
to.
get really uncomfortable. He
Well,
does a good job.
you're an easy person to push, that's for sure, because you're excited to be here. So,
I
um,
am. Um,
so
so
Clint, for
yeah.
those that don't know you, could you just tell us a little bit about your background and then we'll jump into it?
Okay. My background is aviation maintenance in the Navy. Has my background. Okay. So no sales background. When I was in the Navy, I worked my way up from working planes to working QA and then managing maintenance team. As I was transitioning out, I'm an A&P mechanic, so I could do this on the civilian side and make relatively good money. I um, I was talking to my financial planner. I was asking him, hey, if you would recommend, what would you recommend if I was trying to get into financial planning? He's like, get your tax license, get your insurance license. I'll teach you how to do it. And so I did that. I ended up helping him scale his business. Like came on as an intern. I was going to come on as an intern, but he offered me a small salary and commissions for every set of taxes I prepared. And as I was doing that, I was helping him scale his business, grow his clientele. And it just dawned on me, like, how am I supposed to get clients? Because the way he'd roll clients is he would do their taxes, uncover 401ks, IRAs, and roll them into annuities. So I'm like, how am I going to get clients? This dude's got to be super fat and happy before I see anything. I'm not starting my own tax firm, right? And in talking with my marriage counselor, he's like, oh, you do life insurance. And so she's like, check out my grandson. He does life insurance too. So she gave me his contact information and I called him and it went straight to voicemail, but she also sent me his like a social media. So I looked him up on Facebook and he's like posting, he did like $15,000 in his first month. I'm like, no way. It's gotta be too good to be true. Started doing my research into Family First Life and just seeing everybody. Everybody's working, was crushing it. Never just that's what it was. Common denominator, every different walks of life, different colors, different races. Everybody's killing it, wants to put in the work. Right? And so I'm like, I can work. Um, and that's where I landed with FFL, you know.
Well, and there was a really pivotal step. You came to a business opportunity meeting and the speaker was really good.
Oh
I'm just saying.
yeah, Trey,
You,
Trey was at Dom's office. It was pretty
you might
wild.
have been sitting right in the front row. I just did the whole thing for you. There was like one other guy there, so I won't say. I didn't.
It was
I
pretty
didn't have a
wild
lot to
times back
perform.
then. Yeah. Yeah, that's how I ended
Um,
up at FFL.
so what was it like in the beginning? And I'll let you run as long as you want to run. I can interrupt with questions, but I mean,
Yeah.
if you were to give us a breakdown of just what it looked like being a new agent, that first 90-day learning curve, and then the transition from, in-home to telesales, and talk about what's different and talk about what's not different. Like, what are the
Yeah.
fundamental things that truly have it changed? And if people can understand what those things are, I think they can have a lot of success with it.
Yeah. So initially starting, right, we used to run like crazy. So we would get our leads, we dial on Wednesdays, set our appointments for Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Dial on Wednesdays, set them for Thursdays, Fridays, and even Saturdays. when I first started, I just saw the opportunity fund of what I had, and the income that it could produce for me and my family, and what it could do for my family. And so knowing that, I wanted it to get there as fast as possible. And I'm not fast. I am not fast. My memory is destroyed. Yeah, I have no memory. And so I got to work extra hard, but I'm going to work it. And that's what I had to do. I feel like I'm at a clear disadvantage compared to a lot of people because I just have a difficult time remembering stuff. It has to do to a little bit to my childhood, but it's a different story. And
All right. Well, I
so
feel like
when
we
you
could do a
guys
whole different call on this. I'm not gonna pry too hard, but
just let's say when you guys were developing your brains, mine I was destroying it, you know? And so but I used to let that hold me back and think that I just couldn't do stuff. But stepping into this and the person that started this 5 years ago is totally different to, than me today. I used to have a really fixed mindset on just I would avoid challenges. I would be a victim of my circumstance. I would take things as they were and believe that I just couldn't do stuff. All my life, I was like, oh, I just suck. I'm not even gonna try. I suck. I'm not gonna try. And this has changed the way, I've worked on my mindset, like just a ton over the last few years, and it's a night and day difference. The same person that started 5 years ago, nowhere near the same person you see today. They'll do that to you. And that's what FFL do to you because Trey talked about Sean Mike. Man, Sean Mike creates this culture on just getting better, improving yourself, and learning and making mistakes, and that's how we get better. And you just got to apply that step in here because you're learning a lot of different stuff. And if you come in here trying to know everything and be perfect, you're never going to go anywhere. You're never going to push yourself to learn and grow if things have to be perfect. So I used to think everything had to be perfect before I started. I've learned the way I'm learning is by just making mistakes and failing forward, learning how to adjust and being okay with making mistakes. Um, Coming in here, I had to like consume as much material as possible. And I listened to what my manager was telling me. He's like, income producing hours is for producing income. Everything outside of that is when you kind of dive in and you study stuff. Nowadays, like when we used to go in the field, Trey, right? We used to have tons of time in windshield time, right? I was listening to Trey, listening to Dom, listening to Eric, on podcasts and learning and honing my skills. Now with telesales, we don't have that. We don't have that luxury anymore. Now we're just sitting in telesales room for like 10 hours a day. So you're getting kind of training through the Zooms, but there's still other pieces that you can that you're missing, on like the mindset pieces, on how to fail, how to accept the rejection. Because we used to get a lot of that back in the day, right? We'd hear that often, that you don't get that anymore. So now where do I get that now in telesales? Every morning, I work on getting my mind right, but I listen to like Jim Rohn or I'm listening to like David Goggins, something in the morning just to get my mind right for the day because you got to control it. If you don't control it, it's going to take you in the wrong direction every time. Do that every time. And so I got to actively work on that. So the first thing that comes in, like the minute I get up after I'm brushing my teeth, I'm listening to something positive just to get my day going and stuff like that. But when I first started, I used to work like 7 days straight for almost a year because, like I said, I'm not the fastest, but I know once I get dialed in, it's going to be a wrap. Um, and then I slowly started giving myself Sundays, giving myself Saturdays, and I started taking 5 days off. I could probably narrow it down to even 3 or 4 days now, if I wanted to, but now my days aren't as long. I've condensed them a lot shorter now. But initially, you got to build that muscle. All this stuff is foreign to you guys, and you're putting a giant puzzle piece together. but you're not gonna be able to put it together unless you put the time in seat. Is really what it boils down to. Is
Um,
my schedule isn't even dials anymore. It's like, am I focused from this time to this time, whatever time I tell myself. Whatever happens in between there is, did I do as much possible to reach out to clients? That's the thing
right,
I can control, right? Um, as you're new here, you're gonna have to put in the work to overcome these objections. There's only like three of them, really. They say the exact same stuff. Once you can get that dialed in, you're gonna pick up one or two more. You know, one or two more is like one or two more thousand every week.
hmm,
That's 4 to 8 thousand every month. If you think about it, you know what I mean?
right,
So why not spend that extra time after income producing hours to hone that skill, right?
right.
Like you've got an opportunity of a lifetime. Are you going to sleep on it or are you going to make something out of it, you know?
Well, I
Um,
do want to interject a little bit there because there you said a lot, and all of that is incredible. The mindset stuff, we talk a lot about that, and people get super cynical. They say things like, "Well, I don't need, just tell me what to do." And that's not the answer. What to do is easy. Dial 10 hours a day, 7 days a week. It'll work if you do that. But people don't want to do that. It's the mindset stuff that actually allows you to become the person that you need to become to do it long enough with a good attitude that it'll work out. And so I have to admit, there was a period of time in this business where I was cynical and I had to sit myself down and go, listen, if it's not working for me, it's because I'm not doing it and I'm being lazy and I have a bad attitude. It's not anybody else. And the only way this is going to work is if you guys get really, really sold out on the idea that you got to get your mind right daily and that this is a process. It's not just about how many dials, what type of leads, what's the script say. It's more mindset. It's 90% mindset, 10% skill set. And of that 10% skill set, like 90% of that's like the phone script, you know? And then like the other 10% of that is like the skill set of managing your schedule. But without that 90% piece of like the mindset part, like it won't ever work because it's really easy to fall into these traps of like thinking too much and making mountains out of molehills, saying things like somebody said to me the other day, Clint, they were like, hey, when I first got started, the leads were really good, but I mean, I think they're giving me different leads now. And I'm like, who is Facebook? Like, like how they manage that? Like, how are they giving you different? Like, they come from Facebook. How are they? They don't. They're leads. They're not guaranteed sales. So it's all a mindset thing. But I didn't mean to interrupt right in the middle of that.
I know.
You were killing it, and then I had to jump in. I'm sorry.
For sure. It's 100%
Carry on.
mindset, you know? But once you learn to control that, right? Once you learn
Right,
to control that, it's like such a huge eye opener. There's nothing to it. There's nothing that can stop you now. You know what I mean? Once you can get your mindset locked in, it's a wrap. Now
right,
you know it's just time and seeing, working, getting the reps in, you know? Um, and so even when I started telesales, so when I transitioned to telesales, right? From so think about it in home, right? We would go months just making mistakes and we wouldn't even know it, right? Now with telesales, we can coach you in real time, right? Because we got Zoom rooms. Like if you don't utilize a Zoom room, like you're just slowing your own progression. You really are because you have like top producers telling you exactly what the playbook is and how to do it. They're telling you exactly what to say. You know how they're presenting it, and all you have to do is replicate that. I mean, like when I first started, I was like writing, I wrote down Paul McLean's script like verbatim. He's like, it was when he was doing like a presentation at a table. I sat there for
hmm,
like 4 hours writing it down. And writing it down to have a script to replicate, and it just didn't work for me. I had to do bullet points, but I spent like 4 hours writing it down, right? Now you're getting handed the script and you can see people putting it into play,
right,
versus going into the house and kind of figuring out how do you transition from numbers to closing, you can see it in real time. And then if you present it in real time, you've got your uplines or managers that are going to help you connect the dots for you if you're not connecting the dots.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so there's absolutely no reason why you can't succeed here. It's because you just don't want to, you know? Um, like sometimes you'll have agents and they'll come, we'll be in a Zoom room and they're like, hey, this is what happened. Like you're off mute the whole time. We were there the whole time. Why aren't you coming off mute? Because now what you think you said and what you thought you heard are two totally different things. Whereas
Right.
if we can hear in real time how to help you, you're going to benefit so much more from that by just getting uncomfortable.
Yep.
There's another huge piece of this is putting yourself out there and getting uncomfortable. I knew that if I could do that, that's how I'm going to grow. If I stay in my little bubble, I'm not going to grow. You know what I mean? I'm just slowing
Right.
my progression. But when you can push yourself to really get uncomfortable and just like do it, doing it, it gets easier and easier. Like all these things that I say today, when I used to hear, I was like, there's no way I could say that. Like, how, like, that sounds nuts. I can't say
Yep.
that. But then you sit there and practice it, and just push yourself, and now it's like second nature. Now it's no big deal. Now I know how to position it and not sound weird or creepy. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
And have the boldness to do it. You
Yeah.
know, the Zoom room is so crucial, and it's taken me a while to really understand it. Honestly, I'm slow. I can't understand why it took me so long to get this. But for years, what we would tell people is like set appointments, calls from the house. And the point of that was like, hey, just pick up the phone and dial. And then when you get there, we'll train you on all the other stuff because I'll just answer the phone when you call. And sometimes I would, and sometimes I wouldn't. I would do my best to. But it was like, but people had so much faith. They would just like, oh yeah, it's first appointment's 2 hours away. I'll call you when I get there. They had no idea what they're gonna say. But we would get people to do that left and right. But the ultimate field training is this Zoom room because I can hear when you're dialing. I can hear when you're in the presentation. I can coach you on the products, or somebody else can, the community can. It takes a village to raise the children. So everybody's there to help everybody. It takes the monotony out of it. It's the greatest system in the world on how to learn how to sell insurance. Because you get the basics of the script down, and then inside the script, when it comes to financial inventory, they'll be like, oh, well, Klint says this. I'm going to start saying that. Well, Bree says this. And then that guy, Bree wrote $25,000 first month, by the way. And I swear on Zoom
Go
many
Bray.
times, tell me this is a true Clint. Like a lot of times, the people knew she was reading the thing. She, I mean, it was like, but she just put the time in, and so that's like the most uplifting thing about this is I know that if you get in the community and you stay close to the fire and you get over whatever's in your head about whatever you think people are thinking about you, and look, this is just for people that want to make a lot of money. If you don't want to make a lot of money, don't do it this way, whatever. But if you want to make a lot of money, like we have a proven track to follow to get you there. And so the Zoom room has played a huge role.
Yeah, no, I love
So
watching Bree. She's a killer, man. She just comes off mute. She don't care.
that's right.
And then she'll let us help her out, man. So that's the biggest thing is being vulnerable. Like she's gonna win. There's no way. 100%. So it's exciting seeing that because I know she's gonna kill it. And that's all it takes. And you know that she's studying and she's practicing it by the way she's saying it. Like there's some people that come off mute that they're just everywhere, and we can't really guide them there. We can't make any adjustments just because they're all over the place and they're not following a script. But you can tell 100% Bree's following it. So now we can make little adjustments where she needs to adjust. But if you don't come in there prepared, we can't really help you because it doesn't matter what we say, you don't know how to take it that direction. Whereas I know where Bree's at in her script and I can kind of help push her whatever direction she needs to go because she's
Amen.
following it. You know what I mean? Um, yeah.
So aside from, getting going and Zoom room and understanding it's a process and the mindset of it all, talk to us about the mindset of buying leads. I think that's probably the one thing that people don't talk about enough that really hangs them up. And how did you get to the place where you're not afraid to spend money on leads like you are now?
It was just having faith in myself that I was going to go to work and work them. there's people there like understanding a lead, right? I mean, there's no way that that lead is somebody that wants insurance. They raise their hand, said they need insurance. There's no doubt in my mind. You know what I mean? Not for a second. I don't care if they felt the lead drops into my CRM and then they tell me they're not interested. Not for 1 second do I believe them. Not for 1 second do I believe they got it taken care of. So knowing that and just knowing that I can't help everybody, right? I'm going to filter through and figure out who I can help. If I help out one person a day, that's $1,000. Two people are 2,000. You know what I mean? So, and being okay with being told no all day long, it doesn't matter. I'm not looking for them. I got to find the people that want my help, the ones that I can help, the ones that are healthy enough, the ones who can afford it. There's a whole slew of other people that I can help, and it's part of it, but I'm not looking for them. I'm just gonna filter through and find the ones I can help that I can help, you know, and just trusting in myself that I know I'm going to work them. They're not going to sit there, and that if I don't have enough, it's going to hurt me versus having just enough. If we can, we talk about like stacking the numbers in our favor, right? Why not? Why
Amen.
not take the easy ones, right? Like,
Dude, it's riskier to have 25 leads than it
oh,
is to have 100.
way more riskier. Yeah. You could be
You
there
know?
for 2 days ready to work, but you've got 25 leads that you just squeeze the hell out of for like the last 4 hours. You know, they've been called like 36 times in 4 hours.
Right.
That's a little obsessive. I mean, I'm obsessive, but that's a little, a
A
little
little
much.
obsessive. Yeah, I was with Zach Trudowski one time. He was telling me about this agent, and it's one of the people's on Wiley's team. I can't remember exactly who it was, but it was somebody on Wiley's team. And he goes, "This new agent is gonna kill it. Like they're on fire." So he gets him on the phone and he's like, "Hey, how many dials did you make today?" And he's like, "I dialed 400 times." He's like, "Dude, that's great. How many people did you talk to?" He's like, 11. He goes, "How many presentations did you do?" He's like, 3. "How many did you sell?" He goes, "Didn't sell any." He goes, "You dialed 400 times, talked to 11 people, got 3 presentations and didn't sell any?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he puts it on mute and he goes, "What do I do?" And I go, "I don't know. Those are bad numbers." So he takes them off mute. He goes, "How many leads do you have?" He goes, 16. And then we were like, dude, he is really gonna kill it. Because he called 16 leads 400 times, you know?
That's
Uh,
how I see it. He's got the activity, right? That to
right,
me is I'm like, you've got the activity piece down. Now we just got to get because that's the hardest part for a lot of people is sitting
right,
there in the seat. You know what I mean? To me, I'm excited about that. I'm like, all right, you've got that piece, you've got that muscle built. Now, how do we improve your contacts? How do we improve your conversation? You know what I mean? So that's the way I see it is like, all right, you're working. Now we got to refine what you're saying. How are you
right.
dialing? You know, are you overcoming objections? That's the hard part is getting people to sit and work.
Or walk on the treadmill. Tell us about that. That's the funnest part. So if y'all get on our live dials, the dialteam.fflall.com, by the way. You'll see Klint 2, 3 hours a day. He's walking on his treadmill at his standing desk, which I'm gonna get to. I am gonna get to. And he's lost
Gotcha.
quite a bit of weight, by the way. You have lost quite a bit of weight. I was noticing that
Thank
in
you.
Palm Beach. I was like, Klint is fit.
Got to. I got time now. I got
Yeah,
time
that's
now.
awesome. That's right. You're not driving all over eating Chick-fil-A just
No. Yeah.
4 times a day, you know?
Yeah. 3 times a day at least.
So
But
how
yeah,
did that
no, the
come about?
treadmill's awesome. Not just because I'm like yeah, we're sitting here for a long time, right? If I'm gonna be sitting here, I
Right.
might as well get in some sort of activity. And then but that's how second nature people are like, I don't know if I could do that. But it's we've done this after you've done it so many times, it's all second nature. Everything we say is second nature now, you know? Yeah, and I can do quite a bit of things now and it doesn't phase me, you know? So and it definitely added like 5 years to my life for sure. If you can get one and a studying table, I suggest getting one. That's for sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
You
Well, cool.
know,
Well, is there anything parting that you wanna leave off with, Clint, that you think people need to know and just some parting shots, and then I appreciate you
Thanks.
jumping on and being our guest. And
Yeah, no
this is
sweat.
definitely
It's really, it's really for me, something that's helped me a lot is just setting daily activities, right? Things that are non-negotiable, things that I'm going to do. Um, like first thing in the morning, like I'm listening to something positive, right? And then I'm hitting the gym, um, working on that. Like sometimes if you guys are on my social media, see me like doing like a post early in the morning, when I hit the gym and stuff like that. My wife's like, you need a new post. I'm like, I'm not doing it for you guys. I'm doing it for me because I hate social media. And so I'm pushing myself just to do that stuff because I hated it for the longest time. And I'm just building that muscle. And so just whatever you do, you don't have to do, there's a lot of stuff that we say and tell you guys to do. Just start implementing like one or two things at a time and make it a habit. Make it a habit and just keep doing that, keep building. Pretty soon, you know, all these things are gonna start falling in place and everything gets so much easier once
right.
it's all systematic, you know. And it's they're just part of your day now. If one thing to help you guys, I think that'll help you guys a lot. Help me a ton.
Well, dude, I mean, what's hard not to do becomes hard. What's hard to do becomes hard not to do if you just do it over and over.
Over and over,
And
yeah.
the other part about that that's so crucial is you get your self-esteem from building the habit. The results will come, but if you can just get in the habit of showing up to the Zoom when you don't want to show up to the Zoom. First, we were at the Lock-In in Palm Beach, and I'm dialing with everybody, and the fear I felt to dial the first time is just like the same fear I always feel to dial the first time. But once you dial the phone, it's easy. It's the first one you call that's hard, and I don't know that that ever really changed. That never changed for me. I was always nervous about that. The first when we did in home, I'd go to the first house, and I'd hope they didn't answer because I was so nervous. But once I got on the first one, the rest of them were easier, and it was like that for years. Like that never really went away. But I learned, just to do it, and then I would act my way into feeling, not feel my way into acting. I
Yeah, it's the
think
truth.
did you catch that at the Sean Mike event where somebody had asked a question about like a quote or how to get yourself motivated? And Chris Carter was like, I just think that's all BS. Like, you just need to do stuff. You just need to get
That's
to
it.
work and then you'll be excited.
That's it. Just do it. There's nothing to it, man.
Amen.
Nothing to it. Make it happen.
Well, thanks for jumping on. This was a great call. I appreciate you guys being on here, and we will have another guest next week. We will uh, make sure you get on the SRS call on Thursdays. Huge call, and that's going to be a good one this week for sure. And we appreciate you guys jumping on. Clint, thank you so much.
My
And
pleasure.
you're awesome. We have to do a round two. Clint sounds
And,
like a
uh,
gazillion dollars a month, so he'll be Hall of Fame probably by June this year. So go Clint, go.
Take care, guys.
All right, have a good one.